6 News at 11. Getting results.
We begin with breaking news tonight. State Senator Kay Kirkpatrick has tested positive for the coronavirus. On her Facebook page, the Metro Atlanta doctor says she developed a fever last Saturday.
And another state senator is also sick. Nikema Williams posted this picture on Facebook. She said she had a fever on Wednesday and Thursday, but is not running a temperature today. Senator Williams says she was tested for COVID-19 yesterday, but was told she won't get those results back for 5 to 7 business days. Keep in mind, the entire state Senate was told to go into quarantine after State Senator Brandon Beach tested positive earlier this week. The cases of those state senators comes as Georgia releases new numbers tonight.
Tonight, there are 485 confirmed cases statewide and 14 deaths. Let's take a look at the other states. Illinois is the latest state to order people to stay in their homes unless they need essentials like groceries and medicine. This week, both California and New York also announcing a shelter-in-place program.
Overseas, doctors and nurses from the Italian army are now working to help care for coronavirus patients. It comes as the country records its biggest spike in deaths. Today, the Italian government announced 627 more deaths, bringing the total to more than 4,000 in that country. The total number of confirmed cases in Italy is now at more than 47,000.
On Wall Street, the Dow Jones more than 900 points lower today. It marks the end of the worst week for all three major stock indexes since October of 2008. All gains made during the Trump administration have now been completely erased. Meanwhile, congressional leaders still going back and forth over the Trump administration's $1 trillion economic rescue package. It would send $1,200 in direct checks to each American who qualifies. But Senate Democrats say it is not enough and they want more help for hospitals and healthcare providers. The White House wants the plan passed by Monday.
The Trump administration is easing the burden on taxpayers. The tax filing deadline has been pushed back from April 15th to July 15th. The White House says there will be no interest and no penalties for those who file by July 15th.
Tonight, amid the growing coronavirus pandemic, a Metro Atlanta woman is now stuck overseas.
The timing of her trip came as borders closed to stop the spread of coronavirus. Well, now she's stuck in Peru as our government tries to find a way to bring her home. CBS 46's Trayson Bragg is live with more on what's next for her, Trayson.
That's right. She's from right here in Metro Atlanta. She tells me after an amazing trip to South America, she's ready to land right here sooner than later.
We're trying to get Americans back from these places where air travel has been disrupted.
We did get stopped once.
Meet Lisa Coker. She's one of those stranded Americans.
This is definitely my first trip to Peru, first trip to the continent.
Coker tells me her trip to Machu Picchu to walk among the clouds was planned and paid for nearly a year ago. She finally got her passport stamped March 7th.
The news seemed at that time to mostly still be concentrated about Asia, so it didn't seem like it was, a dangerous place to go to for coronavirus, at least.
As folks in Atlanta wrestled over toilet paper, Coker and her travel buddies experienced ancient history. Days before their trip was scheduled to end, things changed quickly.
While we were on our way back from Machu Picchu to the city of Cusco, we had overheard that the Peruvian president was going to make an announcement.
Later that night, it became official. The Peruvian borders were set to shut down in a matter of hours.
We figured, okay, you know what? We're on the last flight, the only flight Delta has from Lima to Atlanta.
Then came a problem. The flight from Cusco to Lima showed up an hour late.
And we're on the shuttle and we can see the Delta flight pulling away.
Yeah, Coker says missing that flight left she and her friends stranded in Peru. As for the Secretary of State, he says the U.S. government is looking into using a combination of commercial flights and military flights to help get Coker and other U.S. citizens back home. Reporting live at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, I'm Trayson Bragg, CBS 46 News.
Trayson, thank you. Tonight, 3 Cobb County firefighters on voluntary self-quarantine after exposure to the coronavirus. They were exposed March 11th. None of them have signs or symptoms, and they are expected to return to work next week on March 25th. 7 Cobb firefighters previously self-quarantined, but they'll all be back to work. The fire department says it's continuing to follow CDC guidelines for protecting first responders.
Tonight, it's still unclear what will happen to hundreds of Americans who arrived in Atlanta today after traveling on a cruise ship tainted by the coronavirus. The 359 people on board the jet include Americans and Canadians. Health and Human Services says 3 on board tested positive but did not have any symptoms. 13 others are sick, but as of this afternoon, they hadn't yet been tested for coronavirus. They were taken to the hospital, though. All of the passengers were on board the Costa Luminosa cruise ship. The CDC is now leading the screening process for passengers.
Cities across the metro hunkering down, urging residents to do the same.
From social distancing to major closures, many local cities have new restrictions in place tonight.
The city of Sandy Springs is following in the footsteps of Atlanta. Today, Sandy Springs shut down bars, nightclubs, gyms, and fitness centers, movie theaters, live performance venues, bowling alleys, arcades, and private social clubs. Restaurant and bars that sell food can only do so as takeout.
Over in Norcross, police are asking all businesses to make sure there are no more than 10 people inside at one time. That includes employees and customers.
And the city of Ackworth also issuing brand new restrictions. Today, the city announced that all public restrooms, beaches, and swim areas will be closed until at least May 10th. Popular spots like Dallas Landing Park and Proctor Landing were already closed for the season, and that closure is set to last until May 10th as well.
You know, these are the types of important local updates on coronavirus we're offering at the top of every single hour. Remember, you can track the latest information on the air and on the CBS 46 streaming app. It's free to download, and it even has a special coronavirus section with the information you need to know.